Hi everyone, welcome to the first part in this series where I guide you through how to use Confluence inside your business to make the most effective use of the tool. We're going to start off from creating your first Confluence site, organizing pages into spaces, and setting up structure in this first chapter. So let's get started. So first of all, what you want to do is go to Atlassian.net. And this is going to open up the page where we can sign up to Confluence. So if we scroll down, go on to Confluence here and click Get It Free. And we'll click Create a New Workspace. And this is going to be the site that we use to connect and all of our users go on to access Confluence. So we want to call it something useful. So in this scenario, I'm picking the imaginary company called Vitafleet, and we're going to create their first Confluence site. So I click Continue. And now what this is going to do is going to go away and create our site. And as you can see, it's free for up to 10 users. And above that, you also get a free trial of Confluence, so you can see if it works for your business. So now our Confluence site is created, and you can see up here, the URL of the site is vitafleetdemosite.atlassian.net. And if you just jump to that from any browser, your users will be able to access it, provided you've invited them. So here's the initial wizard. I'm going to click skip. And here's where you could invite your team. We're going to skip this for now. We're going to jump straight into Confluence here. So on the left here, you can see it's taken me to my personal space, which is a space that each user has to store information specific to them. Some people use this as a staging area or just a personal space to put any kind of notes that you have as you do your work. So before we get started and create your first space, let's first have a look at the data model of Confluence and how that's structured. So for that, I'm going to jump to a diagram and we'll just quickly kind of lay out what that looks like. So at the top, we've obviously got Confluence, and then underneath that, we'll have two types of space. So we're going to have community spaces and personal spaces. And you can easily see how these fit underneath Confluence. And then underneath these spaces, we're going to have various pages, and these pages will always be within a space. So pages can't exist outside of a space. So in this case, let's take our example. We would like to have a main company space for Vitafleet. But if we're a bigger company, we might actually want to have multiple spaces, say one for the engineering team, one for the marketing team, and so on. But in this case, we'd just a simple company intranet, and underneath you can see we'd have all these pages. And similarly, under your personal space, each user automatically gets a personal space. So let's say this is mine. And what I'd recommend you do to get started is just start with one space. And if you find that you're outgrowing it, then at that point, I would start to split it out into separate spaces. So next, we're going to show you how to create this initial space and those first pages here. And we'll also show you how to create these subpages underneath them. So you can have a really well-structured wiki for your company, and everything's really logical. So let's get back to that demo. So what we want to do is create our company's main intranet page here. So I'm going to click Spaces, and we're going to create a new space for Vitafleet. And I'm going to click Customs, that it doesn't pre-create a load of pages that I don't want. And here we have the space key, so we can change this to something more applicable. And I click Next. And here you can see we can select what features we want to include. So I'd recommend that you include all the features here. You may not want to include the blog if your company isn't going to be creating blogs that are kind of time related. I'd recommend simply using pages where possible. And we click Create Space. And here we go. We have our brand new space with absolutely nothing in it except for this home page here. And now what we'd like to do is create our first few pages and build up a well-ordered structure here. So on the left, I can click add a first page. One of the best things you can do is create top-level pages, which underneath you're going to put all your content. So in this case, I'm going to create a page for our meeting notes. So as you can see on the left here, we end up with our space here. So now we've got our meeting notes page set up. How are we going to actually go about creating meeting notes in here in a well-structured way? So obviously one way is that we could click create here and create a subpage for each of those meeting notes. Or what we can do is create a nice page here that serves as a table of contents for those subpages. So if I open this up and I go to here, and I'm going to add a child pages macro. And I'm also going to add a button here. So this will be the create from template button. And from here, you can select what template you'd like to use. So we've got a meeting notes here. And here, what we can do is add this current date parameter, which will automatically set the page title to the current date. So if we click update there, you can see now we've got our meeting notes page. We've got a button at the top to create a new meeting notes. And when we add those meeting notes, they're going to appear here underneath in that child pages macro. So you can see it's automatically populated the date, and it's changed it here as well. And we can also start to add details about the meeting, for example. And if I click publish, and then we go back to the meeting notes page, you can see we can click this button to create a new meeting notes page, and we can see all of the existing meeting notes pages here as well. So really handy way to kind of create these top level pages and build that structure out. So similarly to meeting notes, we might have, say, retrospectives, and in a similar way, we can create a page for retrospectives. We can add a button to create something from a template. So a retrospective. And in this case, we don't know what the retrospective's about. So simply we're going to leave that blank. And again, we're going to put a child pages macro underneath to serve as a table of contents there. Click publish. You can see we've now got our meeting notes page. We've got our retrospectives page. And at the top, each of them has a button to create a new one. So your users won't get confused. They won't need to figure out what format the pages need to be in. They can just simply, it's intuitive. They can go on the page, click create new meeting notes, for example. So let's call this just something simple for now. As you can see, we've got a nice formatted space now. We've got a home page, which we have yet to customize. We've got nice subpages for our categories. Is there anything else we can do here? Yes. So what we could do is say, I want to have a nice picture of a calendar for the meeting notes. And I'd like a clock for the retrospectives here. So you can see we can really nicely kind of customize our space to our requirements. And we can guide users through creating these pages. So in this session, I've showed you how to create your first Confluence site, create a space for your company to organize their content in, and how to structure that space into logical top-level sections underneath which you can put your actual content. For example, in this case, meeting notes and retrospectives. And also, I showed you how to use the Create from Template button to make it really intuitive for your users so that everything's created in the right format at the right time. Join me in the next session for more information where we're going to develop this use case even further and show you how to make your Confluence site sparkle.